What if I told you that over 1,000 ships and aircraft have vanished without a trace in one specific region of the ocean? No wreckage, no bodies, no distress calls, just gone, as if they were plucked from existence by an invisible hand. For decades, this place has been called the deadliest stretch of water on Earth, the Bermuda Triangle. Pilots have reported compasses spinning wildly. Sailors have watched the sea turn from calm to apocalyptic in seconds. Rescue teams have found ghost ships, completely abandoned, drifting with the engines still running and meals still warm on the table. But here's what makes this story truly disturbing. The United States Coast Guard, the organization responsible for this exact region, officially states that the Bermuda Triangle doesn't exist. Insurance companies charge no extra fees for ships passing through it. And when you dig into the most famous cases, the ones that built this legend, you find something shocking. The facts don't match the stories, not even close. So what's really happening here? Is this the greatest mystery of the modern age, or the greatest lie? Tonight we're going to tear apart the legend of the Bermuda Triangle, separating truth from fiction, and what we discover might be far stranger than any tale of alien abductions or lost civilizations. The Bermuda Triangle, as most people imagine it, is a roughly triangular region in the western North Atlantic Ocean. Its 3 points are typically defined as Miami, Florida, the island of Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. Connect these 3 locations, and you create a triangle covering approximately 500,000 square miles of ocean. That's an area roughly the size of Alaska, encompassing some of the busiest shipping lanes and air routes in the entire world. The legend tells us that within this triangle, an abnormally high number of ships and aircraft have vanished without explanation. Not just disappeared in storms where wreckage was later found, but completely vanished, gone, as if they never existed. The most famous case is Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale on a routine training mission. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, was an experienced pilot. The mission should have taken 2 hours. But something went wrong. Radio transmissions indicated Taylor was disoriented, believing his compass had malfunctioned. As darkness fell and fuel ran low, the transmissions became desperate. Then silence. All 5 aircraft and their 14 crew members vanished. Hours later, a rescue plane was sent to find them. It too disappeared, along with its 13-man crew. No wreckage was ever found. Then there's the USS Cyclops. In March 1918, this massive Navy cargo ship left Barbados with 309 people aboard. It was never seen again. No distress call, no wreckage. The single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history not involving combat. How could a ship over 500 feet long simply vanish? Cases became the foundation of the Bermuda Triangle legend. Books were written, documentaries were made, theories multiplied, magnetic anomalies, methane gas eruptions from the ocean floor, remnants of Atlantis, even alien abductions. The triangle became synonymous with the unexplained, a place where the normal laws of physics seemed not to apply. But here's where the story starts to unravel. When researchers actually compiled lists of documented disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, attempting to verify each case with official records and Coast Guard reports, they discovered something remarkable. The number of verified disappearances is far lower than the legend claims. More importantly, when these cases are examined statistically, accounting for the massive volume of traffic that passes through this region, the disappearance rate is completely normal. The Bermuda Triangle has a loss rate statistically identical to any other comparable region of ocean. Lloyd's of London, the world's leading insurance market, confirmed this back in the 1970s. They stated categorically that the triangle is no more dangerous than any other part of the ocean. They don't charge higher premiums for voyages through the region. To the people whose careers depend on accurately calculating risk, the Bermuda Triangle is a complete non-entity. The U.S. Coast Guard goes even further.
They officially state that they do not recognize the Bermuda Triangle as a real phenomenon. They maintain no special files on it. They have observed no unusual patterns. The majority of disappearances attributed to the triangle can be explained by bad weather, mechanical failure, human error, and the simple fact that the ocean is vast and unforgiving. So if the statistics don't support the legend, where did this entire mythos come from? The answer takes us to one man, Charles Berlitz. In 1974, Berlitz published a book titled The Bermuda Triangle. It became a massive bestseller, selling millions of copies worldwide and cementing the triangle in public consciousness as a real and terrifying place. Berlitz compiled dozens of cases of missing ships and aircraft. He wove together a narrative of inexplicable disappearances and strange phenomena. He suggested explanations ranging from magnetic anomalies to extraterrestrial involvement. The book hit at the perfect cultural moment. The 1970s were a time of fascination with the paranormal. People wanted to believe in mysteries, in forces beyond our understanding. There was just one problem. Berlitz's research was fraudulent. When skeptical researchers examined the cases he cited, they discovered he had been extraordinarily selective with facts. He omitted crucial information that explained disappearances. He misrepresented locations, placing incidents inside the triangle that had happened hundreds of miles away. He cited missing vessels that were later found or that had never been reported as lost. Let's look at what really happened to Flight
19. The weather wasn't clear as the legend claims. The aircraft flew into deteriorating conditions. Lieutenant Taylor's compass wasn't malfunctioning. He simply misread it. Radio transmissions show he believed he was over the Florida Keys when he was actually over the Bahamas. Rather than trusting his instruments or his junior pilots, Taylor relied on his flawed assessment and led the formation further out to sea. When the opportunity arose to hand command to another pilot, he refused. The planes eventually ran out of fuel and ditched in the ocean at night in rough seas. Under those conditions, survival was impossible. The rescue plane didn't mysteriously vanish either. A ship reported seeing an explosion in the sky at the exact time and location where the plane should have been. These aircraft were nicknamed flying gas tanks because they had a notorious tendency to explode from fuel vapor ignition. The plane almost certainly blew up shortly after takeoff. So Flight 19 wasn't a mystery at all. It was a tragic combination of human error, equipment with known flaws, and bad weather. The USS Cyclops case is equally revealing. What the legend never mentions is that the ship was severely overloaded, carrying more than double its safe capacity. It had a history of structural problems, including a cracked engine cylinder. The ship disappeared during wartime in waters patrolled by German submarines. Most tellingly, two sister ships of the Cyclops both disappeared in the same region years later, also while overloaded. When multiple ships of the same design, all overloaded beyond capacity, all with known structural weaknesses, disappear the same way, that's not a mystery. That's catastrophic structural failure. Case after case follows this pattern. The Bermuda Triangle legend relies on omitting facts, exaggerating mysterious elements, and ignoring reasonable explanations. But why does the legend persist despite overwhelming evidence against it? Part of the answer is simple human psychology. We love mysteries. The idea of a cursed patch of ocean is exciting in a way that ships sometimes sink in bad weather is not. But there's another factor. The Bermuda Triangle has been extraordinarily profitable. Charles Berlitz made a fortune. Dozens of authors built careers on it. Documentary producers created countless hours of programming. Tour operators explicitly market it to tourists. There's an entire industry built around keeping this legend alive. But let's consider the scientific explanations that might account for some incidents. One theory involves methane hydrates, crystalline structures of methane gas trapped on the ocean floor. Under certain conditions, these can release massive amounts of gas. A ship above such an eruption could lose buoyancy and sink rapidly. This is real, and the Atlantic floor in this region does contain methane deposits. But these eruptions are extremely rare, occurring perhaps once every few centuries in a given location.
And this wouldn't affect aircraft at all. Another explanation involves magnetic anomalies. The Bermuda Triangle is one of few places where true north and magnetic north align, potentially causing compass confusion. But modern vessels have multiple redundant navigation systems, and compass variation is well known, and pilots are trained to account for it. Rogue waves, those massive unexpected walls of water, can definitely sink ships. But they're not unique to the Bermuda Triangle. They occur worldwide. The Gulf Stream, a powerful current flowing through the region, could quickly disperse wreckage, making it hard to find evidence. This is actually plausible for explaining why some wreckage was never found, but it doesn't explain the disappearances themselves. The biggest actual factor is violent weather. The region sits where hurricanes and sudden severe thunderstorms are common. Weather can change dramatically in minutes. Modern forecasting has made these storms more predictable, which is why disappearance rates have dropped significantly since the 1970s. So yes, there are real hazards here. But they're natural hazards that exist in many areas of the sea. They don't constitute evidence of anything supernatural. Understanding how the Bermuda Triangle legend was created reveals how modern myths work. It starts with a kernel of truth. Ships and planes do occasionally disappear at sea. Then someone notices several incidents in roughly the same region. That's the seed. Next, incidents are compiled into a list, creating the impression of a pattern. Crucial context is omitted. Explanations are ignored. Dramatic language is used. Mysterious, unexplained, vanished without a trace. The geographic boundaries are drawn loosely enough that more incidents can be included. The triangle isn't precisely defined. Different sources place its boundaries differently. This means almost any Western Atlantic disappearance can be attributed to it. Incidents from different eras are grouped together, ignoring that technology and safety standards have changed dramatically. Statistical context is ignored. No one mentions that hundreds of thousands of vessels pass through yearly without incident. Then speculative elements are added. Magnetic anomalies, methane eruptions, stranger theories. These add mystery and make the story compelling. Finally, the legend becomes self-sustaining. Every new incident, no matter how mundane the cause, gets attributed to the triangle. The legend feeds on itself. Once a myth becomes this entrenched, debunking it becomes nearly impossible. People don't want to hear that the exciting mystery isn't real. They're emotionally invested. When skeptics point out flaws, they're dismissed as closed-minded. The myth has been inoculated against evidence. But consider one more possibility rarely discussed. What if the legend was deliberately created? The 1950s through 1970s, when the legend was being established, was the height of the Cold War, an era of intense secrecy regarding military activities. The region includes strategically important waters, major shipping lanes, areas used for military training and weapons testing, waters patrolled by U.S. and Soviet submarines. What if some disappearances were actually the result of classified military activities? Ships or planes wandering into restricted test areas, accidentally destroyed by weapons systems the military didn't want to acknowledge? A legend about mysterious forces would be extremely useful. It would provide cover, misdirecting attention toward fantastical explanations instead of military activities. There's no direct evidence for this theory, but it would explain some strange features. Why some disappearances remained officially unexplained despite likely having mundane causes. Why the military was reluctant to provide detailed information. And why the legend was never aggressively debunked by official sources, even though it would have been easy to do so. Sometimes the best place to hide something is in a fog of misinformation. But whether the legend was deliberately created or simply emerged from sensationalist journalism and public fascination, the result is the same. We've been sold a story that has almost nothing to do with reality. The real Bermuda Triangle is a busy stretch of ocean where ships and planes travel constantly. It has weather. It has currents.
It has the same dangers that exist in any comparable region. Ships do occasionally sink. Planes do crash. But these incidents happen at exactly the rate you'd expect given the volume of traffic and inherent risks. There are no mysterious forces, no aliens, no portals, no remnants of Atlantis, no magnetic anomalies causing compass failures. Just water, weather, and occasionally human error or mechanical failure. The real mystery isn't what's causing ships to disappear. The real mystery is how millions of people were convinced that a completely normal stretch of ocean was somehow cursed. How a legend built on selective facts, omitted context, and outright fabrications became so powerful that it persists despite overwhelming evidence against it. That's far more interesting than whether aliens are stealing our ships, because it tells us something important about ourselves, about how we think, about what we want to believe, and about how easy it is to sell us a story if it's dramatic enough. Remember that insurance companies don't charge extra for trips through the triangle. The Coast Guard doesn't recognize it as real. Every famous case, when examined honestly, has a prosaic explanation. The Bermuda Triangle is a masterpiece of modern mythology, but that's all it is. A myth. The truth? The ocean is big, powerful, and sometimes dangerous, but it's not cursed. It's just the ocean. And the real ocean, in all its vast, indifferent power, is far more awe-inspiring than any legend. If you found this journey into one of history's greatest myths fascinating,
Hit that subscribe button. We're diving deep into more mysteries, separating fact from fiction, and uncovering the truth behind the legends that have captivated the world. Don't miss the next investigation. Subscribe now, and let's uncover the truth together.